Hi there, my name is Joshua Free.
And I'm Jessica Brooks.
And we are here at Nibiru Home Offices in Englewood. This is actually going to be the last series of YouTube that we are doing at this offices. We have a new transition direction ahead of us. And we are going to be talking about the NECRONOMICON hardcover, edited by Joshua Free. This edition actually comes with a foreword by Tracy R. Twyman. So we'll be getting into that. We've invited Jessica down here to basically exchange with us some ideas, get a new perspective on the work, instead of just people are used to the YouTube of just me kind of squawking away at you. We're doing something a little different with the new season of Mardukite TV.
When did you first start writing books?
I first started writing books when I was 2 years old. Well, actually, I guess I wasn't writing them personally. I was dictating them to my mom, and she would do the writing. I would do the illustrations, and it actually started with a story of Merlyn and Arthur. Not sure where it came from. Not sure if it was somehow something I could have picked up at such a young age, or you know, people like to talk about past life and all these fanciful things, but honestly, it started there. After that, it moved to, I believe when I was 4 or 5, I did a transcription of the Never-Ending Story. I didn't realize that it was already a book written, but I had been so compelled by the archetypal, you know, singular book in the movie that I wanted to basically create my own. So I did that, and that was when I was 5 years old. So I started pretty young with my obsession with books. So then, after my youthful interest in book writing, I would have to say I was 13. It was after being involved with practical metaphysics and occult for a while. And the organization that I had kind of ended up forming, almost by accident, needed some solidification. So that came out in, I believe, 1995. And after the organization kind of continued to form and mold its way into what it became, more and more handbooks needed to be made for those. I did them under the name Merlyn Stone as the 90s progressed, and then that actually ended up becoming Merlyn's Magic, which is what most people are most familiar with up until recently, because that was the only commercially made book out there. And so I was actually 16 by the time Merlyn's Magic was pretty much fully written, and beyond that, it took actually 7 years for that book to finally reach print. So quite a bit of time for that first work to get out there. At this point, I'm now in my late 20s, and I've spent, since that point, I've spent 10 years before presenting anything new as Mardukite Ministries. I spent 10 years underground working with people and doing research, and not just trying to write a new book. So
how many books have you written so far?
I've written 9 books now. Well, we actually have the 9th one coming out, which is why it's called what it is. It's not actually the 9th book in the series, but what we actually do is start it from our count from Merlyn's Magic, really. And then if you consider Merlyn's Magic and Arcanum came out prior to Mardukite Ministries really bouncing out there. And then we actually just recently re-released the old Merlyn Stone books through Truth Seeker Press. A lot of our members were actually going online and looking for these old Merlyn Stone books that were out of print, and they were paying quite a bit for them. So what our in-house press actually decided to do is re-release them. And so we re-released the Sorcerer's Handbook and the Druid's Handbook and the Draconomicon, which is an interesting work because most of the stuff in there was never actually released to the public before. So we have those, and then prior to the hardcover coming out, the first year curriculum for our Mardukite Ministries is actually this series of books here, which began with a work called NECRONOMICON, which actually most of that work has been added to the hardcover edition, since the original is now out of print. So yeah, the original Mardukite Ministries materials went out of print, so these ones aren't actually still available. But the Lapis edition, we originally only had 60 of these made, and of course they didn't stick around very long. the Lapis Edition Necro ended up becoming basically the hardcover Necronomicon. In addition to, we basically had Tracy R. Twyman. She added a very good introductory foreword to the materials, and some other articles that, of course, we weren't able to fit in our materials here. The two companion books, which complete the work. I mean, basically, Arcanum was this monstrous tome. For those that are watching that aren't familiar with it, was this monstrous tome, and it was so costly to put out and distribute that it was kind of counterproductive to what we were doing.
Yeah.
We realized that this Necronomicon was not going to be able to be released in that same way again. So what we ended up doing is, for our own members, is they've always known that it was actually broken up into a trilogy. And we have the Liturgy and Lore and the Gatekeeper's Grimoire. I think there's still some of these on eBay, but they've, for the most part, kind of disappeared. To supplement that, we ended up coming out, these actually match the size of the re-releases of the Merlyn Stone books, and they're known internally as Liber GG, Liber LL. It's basically the Priest Guide, Liturgy and Lore, and the Gatekeeper's Grimoire as the Wizard's Guide. The anticipation for the follow-up to this hardcover, an additional hardcover, is to basically blend these two together as a companion, in addition to some other materials and articles that our own Mardukites have been working on that are actually working with these materials. So the ninth work, I guess, which will begin the next serial, which is the Year 2 curriculum, is actually called The Nine Gates of the Kingdom of Shadows, which is it's actually the ninth book that we produced. It kind of goes along with that, and it takes the Necronomical work even farther, and that will actually complete the trilogy. So we'll have our core material Necronomicon, the two companion works in a hardcover, and then the next Mardukite trilogy released to the public, which is our internal Year 2 curriculum, will be the third hardcover, which will complete that trilogy, that set. And it's definitely nothing like what people think, you know, people that already have their preconceived ideas about Necronomicons.
How long is it?
Not very long.
Seconds.
20. So we are here again, wrapping up our episode 1 of Season 2, Mardukite TV. We've been talking to you about the Mardukite hardcover. And again, my name is Joshua Free, author, editor, Necronomicon. We're here with
Jessica Brooks.
And we hope you have a blessed evening.